जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, यशोदानंदन व्रजन रंजन, यशोदानंदन व्रजन।
हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा।
कुंज विहारी, जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद, श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे, जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा सुंदर राधे, जय राधा मुरलीधर राध, जय राधा रमण राध, जय राधा माधव राध, जय राधा गंधर्व कृष्ण राध, जय राधा विनोद राधे, जय जगन्नाथ, जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा, जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा, कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम, कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम, जय वृंदावन धाम जय वृंदावन, जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय, जय पंच तत्वा पंचतत्वा जय पंचतत्वा जय षड्गोस्वामी गण जय षड्गोस्वामी गण षड्गोस्वामी गण जय षड्गोस्वामी जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभु जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय विष्णुपाद ब्रह्म पुरस्कार स्तोत्र सदा सबाई कर्ण भक्ति धम श्री प्रपात महाराज की जय। इसकॉन संस्थापक श्री प्रपात महाराज की जय। जगत गुरु श्री प्रपात महाराज की जय विष्णुपाद ब्रह्म पुरस्कार स्तोत्र सदा भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नमाचार श्रीहरदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय। मायापुर नदी धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी द्वारका धाम की जय। गंगे में अमृमाय की जय। तुलसी भक्त देखी समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवत की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। शिल प्रपात बुक all glories to assemble duties, all glories to assemble duties, all glories to assemble duties, all glories to all glories. Shri Guru Gaur. The second chapter, focus 14 to 17.
Prabhu, you can see the screen? Can everybody?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
So I'll start with my prayers. Om Agnan Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Guruven Maha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupkadamahyam Dadati Subhadantyam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagraja Tam Sagana Raguna Tanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Saudutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Dalita Shri Vishakanvitamsya हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते उपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वांचा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So I will be reading from Shrimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 22nd chapter, shloka number 14 to 17. Before I start, I'll also do the prayer. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. To the 14th shloka. Aham tvashrana vam vidvan vivahartam samudyatam atastvam upakurvanaha pratam pratigrahana me. Aham tvashrana vam vidvan vivahartam samudyatam atastvam upakurvanaha प्रथाम प्रतिग्रहणा में अहम त्वा शृण्वन् विद्वन् विवाहार्थं समुद्यतम अतस्त्वं उपकुर्वाणः प्रथाम प्रतिग्रहणा में. Word by word meaning, translation by written by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Aham, I, twa, you, ashranam, heard, vidvan, O wise man, vivahartam, for the sake of marriage, samudyatam, prepared, ataha, hence, tvam, you, upa kurvanaha, not taken a vow of perpetual celibacy, prattam, offered, pratigrahana, please accept me of me. Translation. Swayambhu Manu continued, O wise man, I heard that you are prepared to marry. Please accept her hand, which is being offered to you by me, since you have not taken a vow of perpetual celibacy. So devotees, they can read the purport.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Vasudha Mataji, you can read the purport. Yeah, this much purport.
Hare
you can
Krishna
read.
Prabhuji, Dhanavad Prabhuji. Purport, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The
Yeah.
principle of brahmacharya is celibacy. There are two kinds of brahmacharis. One is called Naishtika brahmachari. Naishtika brahmachari,
Yeah.
which means one
Yes.
who takes a vow of celibacy for his whole life, whereas the other, the Upakurvana brahmachari, is a brahmachari who takes the oath of celibacy up to a certain age. For example, he may take the oath to remain celibate up to 25 years of age. Then, with the permission of his spiritual master, he enters married life. Brahmacharya is student life, the beginning of life in spiritual orders, and the principle of brahmacharya is celibacy. Only a householder can indulge in sense gratification or sex life, not a brahmachari. Swayambhavu Manu requested Kardama Muni to accept his daughter since Kardama had not taken the oath of Naistika brahmacharya. He was willing to marry, and the suitable daughter of a high royal family was presented. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, thank you. Yeah. Om Agnantimirandasya Dhananjana Shalaka Chakshumutamana Tasmai Shri Guruvai Namaha. Yeah, so now we are in this chapter, 22nd chapter, which is about the marriage of Karna Muni and Devahuti. So, as we all know, that Karna Muni was doing a penance. He's one of the Prajapati, and his job was to procreate the whole planet, earthly planet. And so he did his penance for about 10,000 years on the banks of Saraswati River, where the Bindu Sarovar is there. And while after he did that, I mean, as required as by the arrangement of the Lord, you know, that Devahuti, the parents, they wanted to bring her and marry him to Kardama Muni, basically Swayambhu Manu and Shatarupa. So actually the Lord himself came, Krishna came, and then he gave his mercy. He showed his spiritual effulgence, and he had a darshan of the Lord. And then he said that you have been doing a great tapas, and this, I'm really happy. But now you have a bigger task ahead, which is that you have to procreate, and then from you, a very, very famous personality, again, an Shaktavesh avatar, incarnation of the Lord, in the form of Lord Kapila, he will come, and then he will give the instructions to his mother. By giving instructions to his mother means that it is giving the instructions to the entire mankind as to how one should conduct, and then the entire bhakti seva, bhakti yoga has been described by his instructions. So Kapil Dev is famous for that. Of course, Prabhupada also mentions that there has been one more Kapil Dev who was there, who Sankhya, the Sankhya philosophy, which is not Krishna Bhakti. It was a Sankhya philosophy of Lord, the Shaktavesh incarnation. So his instructions and preaching are very, very crucial for our progress in our spiritual life. There are very, very important shlokas where Kapil Dev has given us. And he has given us those very detailed instructions, which comes in the chapter 25. From 25 to 29, it goes on with his instructions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, we can't hear you.
The
I think it's
parents came.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. parents came and then they met Kardama Muni, and then they had their interaction. And when the king Swayambhu Manu came, so Kardama Muni was actually very overwhelmed, and both exchanged a lot of pleasantries. And while the king was praising Kardama Muni was also praised the king. That we understand from his few shlokas here. So he is referring to the king, the Swayambhu Manu, as this in the shloka number 50 and 51 and 53 he actually praises the king. So he says, the tour you have undertaken, O Lord, is surely intended to protect the virtues and kill the demons, since you embody the protecting energy of Sri Hari. Then when necessary, you assume the part of the sun god, the moon god, Agni, the god of fire, Indra, the lord of paradise, Vayu, the wind god, Yama, god of punishment, Dharma, the god of piety, and Varuna, the god presiding over waters. All obeisance to you, who are none other than Lord Vishnu. So like this, the glorification takes place. Swayambhu Manu also is glorified. And then he finally asks, what is the purpose you have come here? In spite of all this, I asked you, O valiant king, the purpose for which you have come here, whatever it may be, we shall carry it out without reservation. So he's showing his great respect for, and then finally that is revealed to the king, reveals the Swayambhu Manu reveals to Kardama that he has come to give his daughter to him. So, and also that Devahuti came to know of the virtuosity and the spiritual expertise, spiritual exalted devotion of Kardama Muni through Narada Muni. And she, from that time, she had fixed her mind upon Kardama Muni, and then she wanted to marry him, only Kardama Muni. So like this, everything is, by the arrangement of the Lord, this happened. And now Swayambhu Manu continues, and then he says that, wise man, I heard that you are prepared to marry. Please accept her hand, which is being offered to you by me, since you have not taken a vow of perpetual celibacy. So that is the shloka we are into. So here Prabhupada mentions that brahmacharya or celibacy is the principle of brahmacharya among all the ashramas, among the grahastha amongst the varnashrama, the brahmacharya, grahastha, then vanaprastha, and then sannyasa. So these are the four stages. So a person can be in a brahmacharya stage for up to 20-25 years. Then balance 25 years he can be in the grahastha, and then further balance 10 or 15 years he can be in the vanaprastha. Then he can actually opt for sannyasa. So like this, it has been devised, varnashrama dharma. And this brahmacharya is, as we all know, that it is an age of the youth, and the more focus is given on the learning, the Vedas, Shastras, Upanishads. So all these things are there, and then serve a guru. You should accept a guru and then serve a guru. So with this, he can do preaching. He can do a lot of preaching and serve the guru's desires also. So there are two kinds of brahmacharis. Like brahmachari, one is called Naishtika brahmachari, who takes a vow for his entire life, celibacy. He doesn't want to get married, doesn't want to get into the family affairs, but he wants to remain a Naishtika brahmachari. Then later on, he can continue, and then without skipping the grahastha ashrama, he can become the sannyasa ashrama. Of course, vanaprastha doesn't come, because vanaprastha is for the married or the grahastha. So he can directly come to this stage of sannyasa, and then he can further progress in his life. And the other one is upakurvana. He is a brahmachari who actually takes vow of celibacy up to certain age. After that, he gets married. He enters the grahastha ashrama, and he, with the permission of the spiritual master. So Prabhupada mentions here that he can come to the grahastha ashrama by taking permission of the spiritual master, guru, and then enters the married life. So then he continues with this grihastha ashrama, and then it is up to him whether he want to continue this grihastha ashrama and then go to the vanaprastha, where vanaprastha means actually Shastra Bhagavatam says that pancha urdhva vanam vrajet. So pancha dasha urdhva. So after 50th year, a person is entitled to go to the forest for very severe practice. I mean, basically that it means that he can go with his wife, but they have to stay separate, and then do the spiritual activities plus sadhana. But most occasions it is mentioned that the husband has to leave the wife at the care of the son, because the son would have grown, and that is the ideal vanaprastha. But so there are some instances where wife also can go, but they have to be separated, and then they can do their sadhana separately, and otherwise the son will take care. So when he goes to the forest, he can do his sadhana, and then he can do a lot of preaching. He can write the scriptures, give some commentaries. So the whole purpose is, Prabhupada says that it is preaching is the mission. So that way, vanaprastha is very, very ideal in the middle age. And once he does that, he is not bound by any of the family shackles, because the son would be taking care of the wife, and the children will be under again his custody. So like this, Swayambhanu requested Kardama Muni to accept his daughter, since Kardama had not taken a vow of Naishtika Brahmacharya. Otherwise, what happens in the family life, if you are with the family, with the children, it's always going to be very difficult to complete the sadhana. There will be a lot of social obligations, familial obligations. And every time the husband and wife has to be there, take care of the children, the grandchildren. So like this, it goes on and on. The cycle of material chains will keep, will keep shackling. There is no end. It is difficult to come out of it. So the entire varnashram system is set in such a way that you can, at any point of time, or reaching certain milestones, you actually have to take the right steps and then progress in your spiritual life. So that is the whole purpose. And when it comes to Naishtika Brahmachari, in our Sampradaya also, Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj, that is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, was a Naishtika Brahmachari. So he had taken the vow of celibacy from an early age, and then since he was born from a very exalted parentage, that is Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur, as you know, has been one of the stalwarts. Is also called as the seventh Goswami. Seventh Goswami, apart from the six who lived in Vrindavan. So they gave enormous amount of treasure of scriptures, a lot of kirtans, a lot of bhajans, a lot of treatises on many of the shastras they have given. So like this, and then when you come to speak of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also, he was also such a great scholar. He had mastered Gita. He had by-hearted Gita at the age of 5, and then he had studied Mahabharata. He had studied, he had started learning Bhagavatam. So like this, he was a very, very competent personality. And not only that, he also studied Surya Siddhanta. I mean, in the astrology, astrophysics or astronomy. And then he had written his own book, which is about the Surya Siddhanta, or keeping Surya in the center, the what you call as the heliocentric philosophy. There are two ways of looking at our astronomy. Today, scientists are viewing, are telling, the science tells us that Earth is revolving around the sun, and sun is stationary. Earth is revolving on its own axis, as well as rotating around the sun. That is called the geocentric philosophy. But actually, the real truth is that it is the sun which is moving and the earth which is actually stationary. So today scientists are making a mockery of it. But he gave that philosophy, the Surya Siddhanta, where it is heliocentric. And in this heliocentric, it's actually geocentric. And then the heliocentric means where the sun is moving. I mean, that's all we come to know. how the sun moves, and the entire philosophy he has given. But when for a person in an Earth or in a different planet looking at the events, it might appear the same, like the day and night, how it takes place, how the lunar eclipse or the eclipses takes place. The result may be the same, the end result may be the same, but actually what is important is that the Earth is stationary and the sun is moving. That is the real philosophy which is given by our acharyas, and as Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also gave that. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati had many opportunities to teach this astronomy to various people in various colleges. He was called, because he was a scholar, he was called at various colleges and universities. And he was also a teacher for the Manipur king and his children. But then after a certain period of time, he did go and then teach them about all these Shastric studies. But at a certain point of time, he felt that what he's doing is not correct. Because otherwise, if we get caught into this, he might start earning money. He might again, make a living out of it. So he did not want. Although he never used the money for his own self, he was actually distributing the wealth for Vaishnavas and Vaishnava Seva. But he said that this is not my cup of tea. Rather, I have to take up the task of preaching, which his father was also telling him. So then he left all those princely jobs, and then he took a very ascetic way of life, and then he wanted to, and then as his father indicated him, that you search for a guru, and he identified a guru also, which is Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who is called a very the most austere Swamiji at that point of time. So he had to Vairagya Swarupa Swami at that time. So and then he ultimately had to take Diksha from him, and then he started the preaching, and then he established the 64 Mutt. So such a great personality. And as we know that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, before he started preaching in the early 1900, when he was his middle age, so he also did 10 years Hare Krishna mantra chanting for about 10 years, continuous years. And then he had made a 3 by 3 feet height, 3 feet width, a kind of a hut, and then he stayed there in that. And then he was hardly taking any food. If any villagers was to give some milk or a charge like that, buttermilk or some small light refreshments, he used to eat that. And otherwise, for about 22 hours, he was chanting Hare Krishna mantra. And then he was taking bath in front of the Kund. I mean, that place is still there in Mayapur. We can visit that place where he did that penance, because he wanted to establish such a great institution. And for that, he needed the powers, the spiritual powers. So that's why he did this. And that's why our movement has been so strong. The parampara is so strong. And then finally, he found Prabhupada. And Prabhupada also became a very prolific preacher. And today, ISKCON is flourishing because of these great stalwart devotees. And the entire parampara had blessed them. And that's why we are now in this association of devotees and doing this satsang. Hare Krishna. So, so this is just wanted to give a glorify our acharyas also, at the same time our Guru Parampara. I mean, we'll all get impressed. It's all encouraging for us, so that we can continue our spiritual practices, our sadhana, and keep it intact, and that way we can progress. Hare Krishna. So we'll go to the next shloka, 15th shloka. So devotees who are in the queue can read shloka and translation, and somebody can read the purport.
Hare Krishna. Sudha Mataji, you can read the shloka. Vishbhanu Kanya Devi Dasi Mataji can read the translation. And Sindhu Mataji can read the purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji Dandat Pranam. Rishir Uvacha Badam Udbodu Kamoham Apratta cha Tavatmaja Avayor Anuruposav Adyo Vaivahiko Vidihi. Hare Krishna.
Translation.
Translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The great sage
Yeah.
replied, "Certainly I have a desire to marry, and your daughter has not yet married or given her word to anyone. Therefore, marriage according to the Vedic system can take place." Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Thanks.
Sindhu Mataji, can you please read the
Yes,
purport?
Mataji. Pranams, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Pranams, Prabhuji.
Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
3.22.15 purport by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. There were many considerations by Kardama Muni before accepting the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu. Most important is that Devahuti had first of all fixed her mind on marrying him. She did not choose to have any other man as her husband. That is a great consideration because female psychology dictates that when a man offers her heart,
When a woman,
when a woman offers her heart to a man for the first time, it is very difficult for her to take it back. Also, she had not married before. She was a virgin girl. All these considerations convinced Kardama Muni to accept her. Therefore, he said, "Yes, I shall accept your daughter under religious regulations of marriage." There are different kinds of marriages, of which the first class marriage is held by inviting a suitable bridegroom for the daughter and giving her in charity, well dressed and well decorated with ornaments, along with a dowry according to the means of the father. There are other kinds of marriage, such as Gandharva marriage and marriage by love, which are also accepted as marriage. Even if one is forcibly kidnapped and later on accepted as wife, that is also accepted. But Kardama Muni accepted the first class way of marriage because the father was willing and the daughter was qualified. She had never offered her heart to anyone else. All these considerations made Kardama Muni agree to accept the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu.
Hari Bol.
Thank you,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yeah. So, here he's expressing, the Kardama Muni is expressing that yes, I have a desire to marry because you have offered and you have come, you are offering your daughter, and like disposition. We understood that in the previous chapter how the like disposition between the boy and the girl should be there, and then the marriage can be very successful. And now that your daughter has also made up mind, she has not given her heart to anyone else, and she is fixed in her mind to me, and you have not given word to anybody else, so I'm ready to accept the marriage. So here there are, Prabhupada, as he tells, that there are about 8 kinds of different marriages which are there prevalent. Of course, many of them are all there in the old Vedic times, but right now many of them may not be prevalent. Just for our understanding, we can see that we can understand what are those kinds of marriages. So here, as Prabhupada also mentions, that what is important is that the girl had fixed her mind on marrying him. So once and also Prabhupada mentions about the female psychology, where a woman, once if she has given her heart to a man for the first time, it is difficult for her to take back. So like this, the wavelengths or those vibes should be there, where the girl and boy are able to match their wavelengths, and then it will be easy. But before that, in our as per our Vedic marriage, the vivaha, what we say, which is one of the 16 samskaras. So it is very important that first we do the horoscope matching, and then the other process starts. Then the girl boy can meet, or you can have the picture. In fact, in the olden days, when the parents used to do the horoscope matching, immediately they were not even allowed even to meet the boy and girl, because as the sacred marriage, the girl and boy has to see, there is a muhurta which is set. At that muhurta only the boy and girl have to see, what we call as antarpata. The antarpata is that when the day of marriage wedding, the pujari or the purohit holds that white cloth, or that cloth which is having the symbols of the Lord's Shankha Chakra, or the image of the Lord. So all these are there. So this antarpata. So this cloth is held, and by chanting the mantras, invoking the mantras, and by chanting the mantras, at that point of time, when the muhurta also, which is fixed, as per that muhurta, that time the boy and girl, the
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, you're muted.
boy and girl see eye to eye each other, and that is the time actually they have to see. So like this, I mean, this is a very a typical Vedic ritual, but of course now only for shastric purpose it is being done. Why? Because at that point of time, the muhurta and the lagna, all these things will actually give very positive vibrations, and it actually helps invokes a lot of good omen to the boy and the girl and the family. So that it is being done this. Class marriage is the one which is the vivaha, where both boy and girl are both in consent, and the parents are in consent. So everything is set accordingly, and the horoscopes are matching. So like this, it is a very most suitable for our today's situation. So like this is the marriage. And then if you have to understand these 8 kinds of marriages, the one which we call as the Brahminical or the Vedic marriage, which is the Vivaha Samskara, where all the horoscopes are matched, and then the both the boys and girls sides, they exchange a lot of gifts, and then the muhurta is set. First of all, the nishchitartha, the engagement process takes place, and when the marriage has to take place, all that is decided by the purohit. So like this, nishchitartha means that they have decided that they're going to do this, perform this marriage, and before that they invoke all the demigods, they do the chatra puja. So like this, so many aspects are there. And so among the 8 marriages, one is the Brahminical or the Jataka or the Vivaha Samskara. Then there is a Deva marriage or the demigod. Typically it is for the demigods who do this kind of who are eligible to do this marriage, because they have a particular task to be performed. For example, if you Subramanya, Skanda was born from Shiva and Parvati, and then there was a particular task. He had to kill certain demonic people. So because of that, they had to enter into a marriage again, and then Skanda was born. Subramanya was born. So like this, it's a Deva's marriage.
Can't hear you, Prabhuji.
And for certain very specific purpose.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, your internet, we couldn't
marriages,
hear you in
then
between.
maybe
Could
today
you
is not
repeat, please?
Yeah. See, the 8 kinds. The first is the Vedic marriage, or the as per the Vivaha, which is as per the 16th.
Prabhuji, from the third
where the
type
boys
of
and
marriage,
girls
we
and
stopped hearing
perform this. Yeah, and then the Arsha is the one which is by the rishis or the sage, Muni. He does. He enters into a wedding. Again, it's for a very specific purpose. He
We can't hear you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji can't hear us because I think his internet is.
Yeah, his internet is not stable.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, now you're audible. It's totally blank.
Okay, I think there was some break in between.
So, Arsha is, you were saying, by Rishi and Munis, and it is for a specific purpose, is what we heard you last.
Rituals are formed in this marriage, and then the asura is the marriage where without the consent of the bride, a kshatriya or a person takes the girl away, and then by giving some wealth he marries. Then the gandharva marriage is the one where the boy and the girl, young man and young woman, they fell in love, they meet each other, fell in love, and with the consent of the parents they marry, like how we have Vishwamitra and Menaka, and then Shakuntala was born. So that's the Gandharva marriage. Then Rakshasa marriage is against the will of the bride. The boy takes away the girl and then performs this marriage. Of course, this Rakshasa marriage, and Prabhupada says that Gandharva marriage is what today love marriages are happening. It is similar to this Gandharva marriage, and as long as they get the consent of the parents, so this is still it is almost similar to the Gandharva marriage. And the Rakshasa marriage, although it's the word says that as Rakshasa marriage, it is actually by taking against the will of the bride. If it happens, it is considered as a Rakshasa. But in case of Krishna and Rukmini, he had to abduct, he had to kidnap. But of course, Lord had his own, supreme purpose for which he had to abduct Rukmini. I mean, but it was not against the will of the bride. It was not. Actually, Rukmini also wanted to marry Krishna when she had heard from Narada Muni about Krishna's virtues. So it is not a part of the Rakshasa marriage, but it is a, I mean, again, Lord did it. He did this abduct, and then he did this marriage. And also, I think in the next paragraph, next shloka, Prabhupada mentions how, like Krishna did the kidnapping of a bride. Similarly, also Krishna's son also they did the kidnap, and that we'll see later. I'll touch upon that later. So here, as per this shloka, we are understanding this 8 types of marriages, and how the first class marriage is the one which is in the as per the samskara, the vivaha, where the bridegroom is given this charity and dowry, what we understand today. Of course, that also may not be prevalent today. So this is and then the Gandharva marriage by arrangement of love, and the next one is the forcibly kidnapping. She had never offered her heart to anyone else. All these considerations made Karma Muni agree to accept the daughter of Swayambhu Manu. Hare Krishna. So we'll go to the next shloka, 16.
Hare Krishna. Anita Mataji, you can read the shloka. Suma Mataji, translation. And Sarvanand Prabhuji, you can read the purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Kamasa bhuyanardevate syaha putraya samamnaya vidhau pratitaha kayevate tanayam nadrityeta swayaiva kantya kshipatim iva shriyam.
Hare Krishna. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Let your daughter's desire for marriage, which is recognized in the Vedic scriptures, be fulfilled. Who would not accept her hand? She is so beautiful that by her bodily luster alone she excels the beauty of her ornaments. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai. Kardama Muni wanted to marry Devahuti in the recognized manner of marriage prescribed in the scriptures. As stated in the Vedic scriptures, the first class process is to call the bridegroom to the home of the bride and hand her to him in charity with the dowry of necessary ornaments, gold, furniture, and other household paraphernalia. This form is the form of marriage is prevalent among higher class Hindus even today and is declared in the Shastras to confer great religious merit on the bride's father. To give a daughter in a charity to suitable son-in-law is considered to be one of the pious activities of the householder. There are 8 forms of marriage mentioned in the scriptures Manusmriti, but only one process of marriage, Rajashik marriage, is now current. Other kinds of marriage by love, by exchange of garlands, or by kidnapping the bride, are now forbidden in this Kali age. Formerly, at their pleasure, Kshatriyas would kidnap a princess from another loyal house, and there would be a fight between the Kshatriyas and the girl's family. Then, if the kidnapper was the winner, the girl would be offered to him for marriage. Even Krishna married Rukmani by that process, and some of his sons and grandsons are also married by kidnapping. Krishna's grandsons kidnapped Duryodhana's daughter, which caused a fight between the Kuru and Yadu's family. Afterward, an adjustment was made by the elderly members of the Kuru family. Such marriages were current in bygone
Bygone
ages,
age.
but at the present moment, they are impossible because the strict principles of Kshatriya life have practically been abolished. Since India has become dependent on the foreign countries, the particular influence of our social orders have been lost. Now, according to the scriptures, everyone is a Shudra. The so-called Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas have forgotten their traditional activities, and in the absence of these activities, they are called Shudras. It is said in the scriptures, Kalu Shudra Sambhava. In the age of Kali, everyone will be like Shudras. The traditional social customs are not followed in this age, although formerly they were followed strictly. Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Yeah. So here, actually, Prabhupada is also mentioning about those 8 kind of marriages, and then how, and also how that Krishna kidnapped Rukmini. That is also one of the process in which he married, and then also Krishna's grandsons also kidnapped. Like for example, Samba, Krishna's son from Jambavati, he kidnapped Duryodhana's daughter. Actually, he was very infatuated with the Duryodhana's daughter called Lakshmana, and then Samba had kidnapped, and then he had married her. Although they were from the Duryodhana Kaurava family, but it did happen. And then there was again, it was a
Again, there is a break.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, I think Prabhuji's internet is playing up.
hello, Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna,
Yes,
yes, Prabhu, we can hear you now.
Yeah. So Prabhupada gives all the details about this marriage system.
Okay. Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Because of the influences of the foreign attacks, and we have actually lost our Vedic culture and
Hare Krishna,
our
Prabhuji.
traditional. Yeah, Krishna.
Apologies, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, your voice is breaking, Prabhuji. I request Prabhuji to keep the video off and only audio
Oh,
on,
horrible. One second, hold on.
so that we can hear.
Or maybe.
You can keep the video
Yeah.
off, Prabhuji, then it will be. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So as the scripture says that it is Kalau Shudra Sambhava, because in Kali Yuga, most of them are considered as Shudras. Why? Because they are not following the samskaras. And the first samskara is that the Garbhadana samskara, where when the husband and wife for spiritual practices, or the child cannot get that spiritual benefit, and that is how they end up with becoming a Shudra. So this is what Prabhupada says. The traditional social customs are not followed in this age, although formerly they were followed strictly. Nowadays, even in our devotee community also, this Garbhadana Samskara is very much insisted, so that the new young couple beget Krishna conscious children, and Prabhupada always wanted Krishna conscious children to be begetted. Hare Krishna. So we'll go to the 17th shloka.
Krishnamurti Prabhuji, you can read the shloka. Prashanti Mataji, the translation, and now Kishori Mataji, the purport.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, very good.
Yam armya prishte kwana dangri shobham vikredatim kanduka vihalakshim vishwa vasurnya patasva dvimana dvilokya sammoha vimuda chetaha. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Mataji. Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Now Kishori Mataji, can you read the translation?
Sure, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Pranam. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I have heard that Vishwa Vasu, the great Gandhava, his mind stupefied with infatuation, fell from his aeroplane after seeing your daughter playing with a ball on the roof of the palace. For she was indeed beautiful, with her tinkling ankle bells and her eyes moving to and fro. Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Vishwabhanu
Krishna
Kanya
Mataji. Can I read purport Mataji? I forgot to unmute.
No problem. Vishwabhanu Mataji, right? Yes, Mataji, please.
Prashanti Mataji.
Prashanti Mataji, okay. Please read.
Yeah, thank you Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Not only
Purport by Srila Prabhupada,
moment, but
Jai.
in those days also, there were skyscrapers. Herein we find the word harmony prastha. Harmony means a very big palatial building. Svad Vimant means from his own airplane. It is suggested that the private aeroplane or helicopters were also current in those days. The Gandharva Vivasvanu, while flying in the sky, could see Devhuti playing ball on the roof of the palace. Ball playing was also current, but aristocrat girls would not play in a public place. Ball playing and other such places were not meant for ordinary women and girls. Only princesses like Devhan could indulge in such sports. It is described here that she was seen from the flying airplane. This indicates that the palace was very high. Otherwise, how could one see her from an airplane? The vision was no distinct that the Gandharva Vivasvasu was bewildered by her beauty, and by hearing the sound of her ankle bangles, and being captivated by the sound and beauty, he fell down. Gandharva Muni mentioned the incident as he had heard it. Hare Krishna, Dandut Pranam.
Yeah, Krishna. So now here Kardama Muni is actually glorifying Devavati, how beautiful she was, how attractive she was. And then once while Devavati was actually playing on the roof of the palace, that Gandharva named Vishwasu, he had seen her, and then he had got attracted to her, and actually he had fell down from the airplane while this incident happened. So like that it is mentioned. So here we can understand how in those days also Prabhupada mentions that they had a huge mansions, the palaces. I mean, they had the technology for constructing these huge mansions. Many of them had their own planes. They had their own planes from which they were going across, and so that the transportation system was also so much advanced in those days. Of course, all these are happening while because they had that yogic powers. And further also we'll see that how they were Kardama Muni after the wedding, after the marriage, he actually had built an entire a huge mansion, a palace, and kind of a township in the skies, because he had to please his wife, and he had to see that she's also happy in this married life. And so that is also there. And then because all that he could do because of his yogic powers, he had created a whole opulent place, and then they had their very blissful married life. Later on, then they could do they actually from them appeared Kapila Muni, Kapil Dev. Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada mentions that that indicates that the palace was very high. Otherwise, how could one see her from an airplane? The vision was so distinct that the Gandharva Vishwasu was bewildered by her beauty, and by hearing the sound of her ankle bangles and being captivated by the sound and beauty, he fell down. Kardamuni mentioned this incident as he had heard it. So he is now glorifying Devavati, and then he is finding her a suitable wife. So amongst this marriage, the Vivaha Samskara, what we are doing, there are so many aspects that which we need to follow, and why these needs to be followed. Also, we should understand the reason why these have to be followed. Everything invokes auspiciousness, and everything invokes the mercy of the Lord. So before the wedding itself, there are so many. We do the Chatra Puja. We do we put a pandal, or we put that from the coconut tree. We make a chapra or a hut kind of a thing, and then we invoke all the demigods so that they are going to take care of the function. I mean, then the Nandi Deepa is kept where this light Agni will take care. I mean, it has to be continues to be burning, and then once this Nandi is there, it actually Nandi also means the beginning. When auspicious celebration functions are carried out, this Nandi Deepa has to be kept. Then the Varpuja, that the boy is actually worshipped by the in-laws, would be in-laws, and all the elders, they give the benedictions to the girl as well as the boy. And then she does the Gauri Puja, like Gauri Puja, the girl does. Why? Because when Parvati had to obtain Shiva, she had done the tapas. After long tapas, she could get Shiva. And Shiva Parvati are considered one of the best, conjugally blissful couple. So the boy and the girl also takes that mercy from Gauri or Parvati, and she does this puja. So like this, all these are we have a lot of scientific reasoning and the Puranic history behind it. And then finally, there is also Kashi Yatra, where the boy says, "No, I'm going to for higher studies. I want to be celibate." But then the bride's parent asks him to stay back, and then you lead a grahastha life. So he is called back, and he's promised so many gifts and opulences, and then he comes back. So like this, it's a very nice arrangement. And then the Antarpata, which I was telling, that the white cloth, sacred cloth. And when at that point of time, when the Murta is there, both the boy and girl meet eye to eye, and so that their life becomes. Then you have the Kankana Bandhana, or that elderly people, they take a round of a thread, a yellow thread around the place, and then they give like a shield to the boy and the girl. And then Mangalya Dharane, which is the Mangal Sutra. Then the Laja Homa. Laja is actually we got in Kannada Arlu, and also it is called in English, I'm not able to get that word. This is actually used in the Homa, where the bride's brother puts the Laja into the hands of the groom, of his sister, and the groom or the boy pours the ghee, and then they offer it to the Agni. And here it is mentioned that this Laja represents the good character, and the ghee represents a friendship and love, and that is being offered to the fire, so that they are getting they can continue a blissful married life. So this way. And then the Saptapadi, the 7 steps, which the bride takes. I mean, the groom holds the bride's feet, and then they walk 7 steps, and every time the mantras are chanted. So like this, everything has a particular reason behind it. And finally, it concludes with the Arundhati Nakshatra. Arundhati Nakshatra has to be seen. Actually, Arundhati Nakshatra is seen in the daytime, but of course today we cannot see that. But the Purohits they can tell where exactly it is situated. Arundhati and Dhruva both are in the north side. So the Purohit shows that Arundhati Nakshatra and Dhruva. So Arundhati is one of the ideal chaste wife. So why so that the Shastra says that if the wife has to be chaste, she has to be as holy and chaste and loyal to the husband, like Arundhati. Arundhati actually is the wife of Vashishta Muni. Vashishta, one of the Sapta Rishi. So like that, both of them are ideal couple. And Dhruva, because he had this uncompromising on his ideals, and he wanted to have the darshan of the Lord. So that Dhruva means determined. So that one is the determination you need, and also the good combination of the loyalty, the chastity of the wife. So this way, this is all these sacred rituals are followed, so that then finally they go to their home, the Gro Pravesha, where the auspiciousness is invoked. So like this, all these are to be performed. Then only the couple can lead a healthy life. And when it comes to Vishwamitra and Vashishta, there have been so many instances where they had their animosity. While Vishwamitra was epitome of the goodness, Vishwamitra actually succumbed to. Actually, he was a Kshatriya, but he wanted to become a Rajarshi. And then, so we understand that there's so many pastimes where Vishwamitra wanted to become Rajarshi, and then attain the state of a Brahmarshi. So how a Rajasic person, actually by the benediction of the demigod Shiva, he could actually become a Rajarshi later, Brahmarshi later. But again, he had a downfall when his mode of when he was doing this penance for about 60,000 years. But again, by the arrangement of the Lord, Menaka Apsaras were sent. And when the Apsaras were sent, Menaka and Ramba, so he lost his concentration, Vishwamitra Rishi, and then he fell down. Again, he came to the married life, and then he did that Gandharva Vivaha, and then Shakuntala was born. So like this, what I'm trying to say is that whatever you may have the desire, but as long as you remain in Sattva-guna, then only you can do the spiritual practices. If you are in a Rajasic or a Tamasic, you cannot do spiritual sadhana. So this has to be there. And also the circumstances can bring you what environment you cultivate. If you are cultivating a sattvic environment, then it will be easy for your spiritual progress. Otherwise, it is going to be disastrous. It may not be helpful. Muni had a Kamadhenu, a cow, a Nandini cow, which could produce lots of milk, and it could give a lot of opulence. So out of envy, Vishwamitra stole that house, that cow, and then
Can't hear Prabhuji.
he forgive Vishwamitra. So this is also act of Vasishtha, the forgiveness or the Kshama is one of the character that we should follow. So there are some very, very important lessons we get from these great personalities. Hare Krishna. So with this, I'll end today's session. If anyone has any questions or
Prabhuji,
clarification.
Hare Krishna.
doubts,
Prabhuji,
yeah.
we didn't hear about the cow. The cow which Vasishtha Muni had was, what is the cow's name?
It was actually the Kamadhenu Nandini. So that Nandini.
Okay,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
the cow name was Shabal also, no? Shabal or some.
That's a confusion.
Yes, Mataji, Shabala. In one of the classes, Prabhuji had said.
Yes, that's what.
Yeah, on Saturday class, yeah.
Yeah.
About the Vasishtha Muni and Vishwamitra Muni.
Yeah.
They said all the story.
There are a lot of puzzles. I mean, what I'm trying to point out, how their mode, how they were influencing their mode of goodness. While Vasishtha was in the mode of goodness, Vishwamitra had a lot of.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the class.
Yeah.
Can we take some questions if devotees have, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Anybody has any questions, kindly request you to raise your hands. Prabhuji, while the internet was not very steady, I missed out the names
I see. I don't know what was the issue. Yeah, I will recheck it.
But I missed out on the names of the types of marriages. The first one being Brahminical. If you could just give me the titles.
Yeah, Brahminical. Then the second one is actually the
Deva marriage.
Deva marriage. Then you have the Arsha. Arsha is again related to the sages. They can marry in their own prescribed way. Then Prajapatya. Again, this has a lot of Vedic instructions they have to follow. The fourth one. The fifth one is Asura, where the groom purchases the bride. I mean, by just purchasing the wife, or by some illicit ways that he gets the marriage, he gets into the marriage. Then the sixth one is Gandharva, where two young couple, they fall in love and then they get married, of course with the consent of the parents. Seventh one is Rakshasa, against the will of the bride, somebody marries, like abduction, kidnapping, like that. And the eighth one is Pishacha, without the consent, and is the lowest, and it's like a criminal in a state of unconsciousness, or through deception they marry. So this is considered the lowest, Pishacha.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Devotees we don't have questions. Suma Mataji, you can ask.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranams, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in one of the purports, Prabhupada has written there are only two kinds now allowed in the Kali Yuga. So before, in the earlier ages, it was 8 kinds of marriage were allowed.
Yes.
So I just wanted to know, Prabhuji, were these based on scriptures? What Prabhupada has said, Prabhuji? Because if the scriptures,
actually,
according to the scriptures, it will be for all the ages, no, Prabhuji?
Yeah. What Prabhupada is mentioning is that one is that what we follow as per the samskara, the Vedic way of vivaha. Vivaha is the marriage, the ceremony as part of the samskaras. Now today, what is happening? We do our Brahminical style, Vedic style of marriage, which is a vivaha, which is one. And the second one is the love marriages, which is actually almost similar to the Gandharva. Gandharva. Of course, we are not at Gandharva's level of consciousness. I mean, Gandharvas are very exalted personality. When after the humans, the Manava, then you have you call that what you call that Kim Purusha. So all these people come, and then the Gandharvas come. Gandharvas are very, very exalted personalities, and they can fly around and they can go to the Swargaloka, all those things. And of course, the name is called as a Gandharva marriage, which is actually born out of love and affection.
Prabhuji, I just wanted to know, like, love marriage is prohibited in this Kali Yuga. Is it that, Prabhuji, is it against the scriptures, Prabhuji? That is what I wanted to know.
Because you're not referring to you're not doing a Brahminical, right? You're not a Vedic. There's no horoscope matching, or so many samskaras or so many rituals which are required before a Vedic vivaha is not being done. Maybe it is more out of fatuation or lust, which is there is actually may not be love. That's why we see so many love marriages ending up with a disaster, divorces. They cannot be able to continue. Only at that point of time, they might get infatuated and they might fall in love and then they get married. But then we see that the boy and girl cannot adjust. They don't understand. They don't have the real understanding of the culture, because the boy girl come from different backgrounds, social customs, their preferences, their likes, their dislikes. So nothing is known. Why? Because first of all, horoscopes is not matched. So if horoscopes or Jataka are not matched, then it might lead to some very bad results. But of course, if that love marriage is already foretold, or it's there in the Jataka, then there might be a success in their marriage also. Many love marriages also do end well. It is not that everything ends in a bad way, but again, it is what is destined to them will get their benefit.
Okay. Prabhuji, is it mandatory to match the horoscope, Prabhuji, even for the Krishna conscious people?
Yes, yes.
I mean, devotees.
Yes, it is better. Okay. It is mandatory. I mean, Prabhupada didn't lay much stress on matching the horoscopes and all that. He didn't lay much stress because then our dependence on Krishna is most important. But again, as from the parents or relatives, they may not agree the girl being given to a boy unless they are known, the backgrounds are known. Because this is any parent will do that, right? Even they always want the children to be in they have a comfortable life and easygoing life, and everything should go well. It should not end up with some disasters. So it is always better that we do this matching, or matching, and then we better safe than be lost.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I have just a small question. But supposing a
Yes.
boy and girl, they get married and then they both come into Krishna consciousness, then?
Yeah, that's what. Like, probably it is destined. It is destined that they are taking up this love marriage. But what here also Gandharva marriage or whatever it is mentioned, it is also that the consent of the parents is required. Actually, one very important factor which I didn't mention in my talk of the rituals what we follow in a Vivaha Samskara is the Kanya Dana. So Kanya Dana is that dana which the father gives. It's actually considered one of the highest form of donation or alms or dana. This dana given to a boy of eligible boy to the bridegroom is considered as one of the biggest dana. The Kanya is the girl. Giving a girl
Again, can't hear Prabhuji.
link. So the person or the parent may not, if the parent or the children is not getting that benefit, then probably it may not it may not go well in their life. But at the same time, at the end of the day, if suppose they're all Krishna consciousness and the consent of the parent is there, and then they've not been able to follow certain rituals, but they're Krishna conscious, and then it could be auguring well for them. But even Krishna conscious devotees also do these samskaras. Most of these samskaras, they do follow rituals, they do follow. So it is always best in that practice, and the consent of the parents is very important. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu, that's what I meant. Allow marriage with the consent of both parents, and then they come to
Yes.
Krishna consciousness. Then also it's okay, no?
Yes.
Because this is
Yes,
happening
yes,
a
that
lot.
is- Yeah, that is most. Yeah. They may come from different backgrounds, different caste, or different whatever it is. But if Krishna is in the center, everything should augur well for.
Yes, it will fall in line. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Pranams.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the class. I think Prabhuji's again internet is.
Shripa Mataji, can you please put in the group those marriages, eight forms of marriages? Can
Yes,
you please put in the
Mataji.
group?
Yes, Mataji. I'll do
Yeah,
that.
okay, thanks a lot, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, thank you so much for the class.
Hare Bol. Hare Bol. Thank you.
Or can we end the class
So
with the?
we'll end the class here. Okay.
Yes,
We'll
Prabhu,
do
I'll
the
just say.
Vaishnava Pranam.
Yes.
Panchakalpadruvyasya kripa
Vaishnavyo namo namah.
Ananta Gauri
Vaishnava
Vaishnava
Devi
Ki
Ki
Jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Thank you,
jai.
Prabhuji.
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Our
Thank
humble
you, Prabhuji.
obeisances.
Prabhuji, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you.